Hello, my name is Trinity Felton, and today I'm going to talk just a little bit about video editing. Have you ever watched a video that was so uninteresting you could die? I know I have. And in this day and age, social media has become such a vital part of our lives. It's a source of where we get our information, how we communicate, and in many cases, how we entertain ourselves in our leisure. As a multimedia mogul and visual artist, it is imperative that I utilize technology in order to stay relevant. This keeps my productions relevant, and it keeps me relevant as well. Today, I want to talk about some of the important basics of video editing. I broke these basics into 3 components. My first component is footage. This is the actual clip that you shoot with whatever you use, and that brings me to knowledge of software and devices. These are going to be what you use to manipulate that footage that you capture, and of course, detail. For starters, footage is extremely important. Once you record footage, you cannot record anything else, so make sure you get everything. You want a variety of shots and perspectives and angles. You also want to keep a steady hand. A stabilizer helps. This could be anything from a pop socket to an actual stabilizer for a more pro camera, like a DSLR. Good lighting is the difference between making a scene, breaking a scene, or communicating different moods. It's also important to use the 2/3 rule as a guide until you get used to recognizing an appropriate frame or one that is visually appealing to the audience. It is also important to try to keep out extra distractions or elements that are not in the scene with intent. These distractions can cause production to be misinterpreted, or worse, maybe even lose your audience's interest altogether. It is also important to have knowledge of software and device. Make sure that you give yourself time to learn. You're not going to learn this stuff overnight. I promise once you get the hang of it, it is like riding a bike, and it's super exciting downloading extra plugins. But you're going to have to take the time to get to know the system or what have you. Now, there are plenty of different softwares that you can use for different people. Some of these include DaVinci, Adobe, Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, iMovie, and there are many more other platforms or softwares you could use. There are also plenty of tutorials online on YouTube, Vimeo, what have you, and some of the software actually include tutorials inside the programs like Adobe, for example. Knowledge of your device is important because you could also use the full potential of your equipment, and you could reveal more of your potential through your work. For example, if you didn't know that your camera is shot in a higher quality, such as 1080p, and you only use 720p on a project or maybe an important event to you, it might not have turned out as quality as you planned. Small things like that definitely can alter a project's production and definitely the results in the end. Detail, detail, detail. Detail is extremely important as well, although it is my final component. It's important to pay attention to detail because this includes the way that the clips are transitioned, the way that they're cropped, the temperature or overlay filters on a clip, the mixing of audio. There are so many components. The clip transitioning could be what keeps your YouTube spectator interested during a vlog because you use all these wonky transitions, or it could also be what makes your documentary seem less credible or more unprofessional to an enthusiast who studies documentary. You have to know what to use when it's appropriate. And the overlay filters can also communicate moods, settings, social class status, time of day, relationships, character to character, so many different indications. However, while you're watching all this, mixing audio is going to be important too, because you don't want to watch something that is hard on the ears that deters you from actually appreciating the production itself. And of course, these are just a few of the thousands of components that go into video editing. But if you're going to call it a production, at least have the respect to use these basics. And in conclusion, video editing has many components, just like anything else. But these are a few that I feel are important, and I want people who maybe want to get into video editing or want to start video editing themselves and creating production to just keep in mind. The footage that you record is extremely important, so do it right the first time. Take the time to get to know your knowledge and equipment, and pay attention to detail when it's necessary. And that's always.